What's up? What's up? Good morning, everyone. We've got so much stuff coming out on a daily basis. It's absolutely insane. Just live streamed Monday morning. I thought we had a lot of news over the weekend, but it's Wednesday and here we are again. Lots to go through. Main highlights that I'm going to go through here. I want to do a deep dive on Robinhood chain because it's getting a lot of attention, a lot of hype, a lot of meme coin stuff happening there. I don't know if you guys seen cashcat, a big meme taking off over 100 million in market cap there already. Yeah, so pretty wild stuff going on there, but I want to dig into like the actual on-chain flows and show you guys like what's actually happening, see if this is actually sustainable. See if it's more hype or if it's actually sustainable for the long term here. Markets are also a little bit shook by Trump talking about how there's no peace with Iran, how they're like essentially, I believe the word he used was scum and not to be trusted or something like that. So the markets are pretty shook by that. Oil is pumping, which is a bad sign. Usually that's a sign of little insecurity or volatility coming. So yeah, that's not good. And then I want to talk about GPT 5.6 is launching tomorrow. That's exciting. Yeah, let's see. I think the battle is just heating up between OpenAI and Anthropic. Yeah, lots to talk about there also. But before we get into all that, who's watching the World Cup? Get into the live chat there. You can live chat on YouTube, on Twitch, on X. Open it up there, get into the live chat. Tell me who you're cheering for. If you watched the Argentina game yesterday, the match, I should say, that was pretty wild. I was looking at some, because I love statistics. I was looking at some statistics around what happened with Argentina yesterday. For those that don't know, they were playing Egypt. They went down 2-0. At halftime, I believe it was 2-0. And then in the second half, they came back and won 3-2 in regular time, which was absolutely wild. I was looking at some of the statistics around this, and apparently this was like the first time in World Cup history, I believe at least in a knockout game, that this has happened, that teams come back from 2-0. So yeah, pretty wild. It's definitely the first time in Argentina's history that they've done that in the World Cup. So that was a wild game. Pretty cool. And then the game later on in the day was pretty boring. I believe it ended in 0-0 between Switzerland and Colombia. And then they just advanced. Switzerland advanced with kick out or shootout. Yeah, so fun stuff. I don't know. I like World Cup because it's like these like big global events, kind of like the Olympics also. I like how it just like brings everyone together. People can kind of stop their focus a little bit. I mean, it's hard with social media nowadays, but try to put their like politics aside and just like a country can come together. At least it's that way in Argentina. Like for those that don't know, I was born and raised in Canada, but I'm living in Argentina now. I've been here for a while, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Like the nation just comes together during these World Cups and everyone's on the same side. And like even after the match yesterday, it was just round of 16, but there was just like people just like celebrating on the streets all night, horns going like for hours. It was, yeah, pretty fun, pretty wild to see. Anyways, yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive on Robinhood chain here because there's some wild stuff happening there. Let me pull this up. So Vlad, the founder of Robinhood app, Robinhood chain, basically like he tweeted this out 9 hours ago, something like that, last night, late in the night, I guess, trying to take advantage of all these meme coin hunters. And basically he just hinted that like memes have a place on Robinhood chain, even though like they initially built it for RWAs, like real world assets, and like the tokenization of real world assets on chain, which we've talked about on a past stream. But he kind of hinted that like memes are there too. And then this explosion of this cashcat happened yesterday. So like since he tweeted that, I believe, yeah, let me pull this up. Cashcat just like added $82 million to its market cap after that tweet. And it like I believe it landed right now. It's around like, yeah, it's around 119 million fully diluted. Yeah, pretty wild. Like it's up there with 120 million now. Yeah, it's up there with like Anthem. Anthem's, I believe, like around 300 million right now. This is crazy price action. This is not sustainable. Like for anyone that's chasing meme coins, this is how they get you. Like just try to. I've talked about it on the past streams. I've tweeted about it a lot. Like if you're going to trade these things, I don't personally trade meme coins. I can't physically bring myself to it. It just has no intrinsic value, and it's basically just a lottery. It's like a lottery ticket. It's for the same reason I don't really trade lotteries. Like the probability of actually making money on this stuff is very, very low. Of course, you like all you read about on social media and on Twitter, all this stuff is like this person turned this amount of money into this amount of money. This like kind of like FOMO rage bait stuff is all the hype. But yeah, this is not regular price action, like especially since it happened right after Vladdy tweeted that. Basically it just like shot straight up after that. And I don't know, there's a lot of like big money, like market makers and stuff like that just like really try to pull into retail because that's how they make money. So just be careful out there. It falls down later as fast as it shot up. So like I've talked about in the past, like just treat it like a meme, like treat meme coins like a lottery ticket. Yeah, it's worth bringing that up again. Only 10% of like short-term traders. If I'm sure if I dug into it, like it's probably even far less for meme coin traders because they're even more volatile and they crash even faster. But just in general, like short-term traders that are just trying to profit off short-term trades, they in general like 90% of them lose money. So just be careful out there. Like you can also see in like Anthem right now, it's starting to get like pretty sold off. At its peak, it was around almost like 450, like just near like getting near $500 million. Yeah, getting near $500 million in market cap is absolutely wild for a meme coin. And you're starting to see like a sell-off in like with volume here. So yeah, just be careful out there. Like I said, this stuff, it tends to collapse just as fast. It's like a domino effect, essentially. Like once some insider wallets or big wallets holding a lot of token supply start selling off, and then it's just like a race for the exit, and you don't want to be involved in that. So just be careful out there. But yeah, like there's a lot of people talking about how Robinhood chain is the meta right now. It's got all like it has a lot of attention. It's true, but if you actually like, let's dig into the actual on chain here. L2 Beat does a very good job of. Oh, sorry, am I having audio problems? No, we're good. So yeah, L2 Beat does a very good job of like of flows and everything like that. It has been impressive what Robinhood chain has been doing. It's already hit 400 million in TVL just in over the past like week or two here. So that's super impressive. I believe they just launched like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I don't know, whatever it was. But yeah, 400 million in TVL in short period of time is very impressive. I think this is the fastest an L2 has gone in adoption, so that's very impressive. But if you actually dig into the flows here, you can kind of see what's happening a little bit better. L2Beat does a great job. Shout out L2Beat for their flows, volume and flows charts here. So you can see that the main amount of flows is actually coming from Ethereum, which would tell me like Ethereum is the home of kind of institutional capital, larger capital allocators who are very much into like DeFi, RWAs, that sort of stuff. So if the main amount of flows is coming from Ethereum, I would garner a bet saying that this is mainly institutional, kind of larger capital allocators that are coming, probably market makers also, moving money to Robinhood chain to capture these flows, capture this volume on chain. So it's not a lot of retail actually. There's not a lot of retail action, like you can see from Solana here. There's not a lot of capital flowing from Solana to Robinhood chain. It's actually more Robinhood chain flowing back to Solana. So maybe like a couple big players from Solana just trying to chase like the meme coin hype, but now they're maybe cashing out and moving back to Solana, and like very little flow between Base and Robinhood right now. So Base and Solana, I would say, are the two big homes for retail, and there's just not a lot of flows between Solana and Robinhood chain or Base and Robinhood chain. Like I said, the main flows are between Ethereum and Robinhood chain right now. So yeah, I wouldn't say that there's been a ton of retail moving over at this point. That could very much change. You never know. Like there is a mechanism here, like if like a Robinhood app, for example, has a lot of retail attention. There's a lot of retail traders in the Robinhood app. So if they can move a lot of this over to the Robinhood app, like a lot of this Robinhood chain action, and make it accessible to every Robinhood app user. For example, like if Robinhood like would officially like list like something like a cashcat or something, and they're fast at listing this stuff. That's a similar mechanism to what has made Base successful in the past, where maybe Coinbase would list popular stuff that's been traded on chain onto the Coinbase exchange. This is like a bit of a meta that people traded against in the past, like, oh, Coinbase listing coming up, so they would trade different like tokens based on that. That's a very popular trade that people like to take advantage of. So Robinhood could be like a fast lister and take advantage of that, and they could kind of become a little bit of a home for new people to want to list their projects on Robinhood chain for that reason, because then if that meta starts to become like a play that people trade, that could attract a lot of attention. So these are things that I'm watching. Another thing is like virtuals. Shout out virtuals. They're a very good home of like token launches, very good launch pad. You can kind of check through their activity here. You can see like by 24-hour volume, like what are the most traded tokens on Virtual's app. You can see just in the top 10 here, I believe it's, let's see, five out of the top 10 projects that are currently trading the most volume over the past 24 hours on virtuals are on Robinhood chain versus Base. So just that alone right there, that 50-50 split is impressive. You're seeing a lot of new projects specifically launch on top of Robinhood chain. But like if you actually dig into like the holder numbers, nothing crazy, like 800 holders for this top project. Like, and where you like put that against like one of the top projects on Base, which is Tibber, 73,000 holders. So that's a big difference. You can like you can see from some of these statistics here, and like a light beam that just launched recently on Base, 2,500 holders again, versus like top projects that are launching on Robinhood right now, 100 holders, 800 holders, 200 holders. So you can see from this, combined with the flows that I was showing you from before, that there actually isn't a lot of retail on Robinhood chain just yet. Although like people are kind of buying into the hype a little bit, and maybe because of meme coins like cashcat, maybe moving funds over. But for me, this is kind of a little bit of a trick. For me, this is more bigger capital trying to attract retail, so they'll pump a meme or something like this to try to attract that retail capital. So I don't know. For me, I'm not trading cashcat. I think it's like it's great that a lot of this stuff is, like I've talked about on last live streams. It's great that like a lot of this stuff attracts people back on chain, but be careful, because like I said, 95% of meme coin traders do not profit. If you're one of the lucky few that do, take profits and hang on to it, rotate that into hopefully longer term, like better bets that are that actually have some value over the long term. But in general, these meme coins tend to fall as fast as they rise. So just be careful out there. If you get lucky enough that you got in early, that's great. Awesome for you. But be careful out there, because yeah, the flows are not showing that there's much retail on Robinhood chain just yet. Again, that could change. That could change very fast. It's been impressive, the TVL that they've gotten so far. But it looks from the flows that a lot of that TVL is more like institutional large capital allocators coming from the Ethereum chain that are probably chasing more the RWAs and like the tokenized assets that are going to be coming to the Robinhood chain. So that's kind of my analysis there for now. And if you put it in the grand scheme of things here, like 400 million on Robinhood chain, again, is impressive. But if you compare that to Base chain, that has about 11 billion, Arbitrum 17 billion, and then Ethereum, I think, is vastly more than that. I believe just in DeFi alone, Ethereum has in like $50 billion or something like that. So yeah, there's a lot of capital that is still on these other chains when you compare it. That's kind of my, just to wrap it up, summary there. Robinhood chain, super impressive start. It's definitely got potential. It's great. They've done a very good launch, and I'm going to be paying attention to it. But it doesn't look like from the flows that they've captured like a ton of retail just yet. But who knows? That could change. That could change over time. In other news, the big other news of the day right now is OpenAI is launching GPT 5.6 tomorrow, it looks like. So, or was this tweeted yesterday? Hard to say from the time stamp. Oh, Thursday, sorry. Yeah, so OpenAI is launching Chat GPT 5.6 Thursday, so tomorrow, I guess. So that's super exciting. From everything that I've seen so far, it sounds like this is a very impressive model. Obviously, I haven't tested it yet myself. I will tomorrow and report back. But some people have been testing it for apparently months already. And this guy, Pietro, has been testing it for months, and he says without exaggeration, it's the best model I've ever used. Fast, smart, genuinely creative, and yeah, haven't needed to check any of the code that I've written in 2 months. I guess he's been using it for 2 months, which is wild. But yeah, this is one of the this is the model from OpenAI that has been held back from the government. Like the government kind of put a pause on them globally releasing this for the same security concerns that they had with Fable. So this is OpenAI's kind of like basically Fable equivalent model is the best way I can put this. So yeah, super impressive model apparently. I'm super excited to try it. Theo, who's another very followed guy in the AI space, he says it's also a very damn good model. He says not quite as smart as Fable, but incredibly capable. So let's see. I don't know. I guess I don't know how you determine smart, like what benchmarks he's going up against there. Like, is that on the coding front? Is that on the mathematics front, the science front? I don't know. Hard to say. I guess probably on the coding front. Let's see. No matter like who you talk to that's used it though, everyone said that it's very, very impressive. The thing that I'm paying the most attention to, and I think that most people probably care about the most though, is the fact that I mean I made this prediction last week. I thought that they were gonna release this on July 8th. I was off by one day. I guess it'll be July 9th, but pretty close. The whole reasoning behind this is that Fable was only supposed to be available through your subscription until July 7th. So July 8th or 9th tomorrow would have been a very good day to release this. I think that was part of their reasoning behind this, because the best play for OpenAI right now is to try to capture as many users as possible, is to keep including this 5.6 model, which is Fable equivalent in the subscription of their users. Whereas Anthropic is going to be taking that away. You're going to only be able to use Anthropic through the API, which gets very expensive. For those that don't know, if you're doing just API calls, you're paying like, I'm not exactly sure, but like $6 output per million or per 1,000 tokens or something like that, or 15. Maybe that was input. One's input, one's output. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's incredibly expensive. Like just as an individual, you can rack up easily thousands of dollars a month by using the API. So if you're using Fable on the API, you're not going to want to pay thousands of dollars a month. If you can get a Fable equivalent model with your OpenAI subscription and just pay $100 or $200 a month, $200 a month for the max subscription, and it's included, they can steal a lot of users that way. So I think that is their play. Unsurprisingly, Anthropic announced very quickly that they're going to be extending the access to Claude Fable 5 on all paid plans through July 12th. So they extended it by a few days. This goes exactly with my theory that the battles are just kind of beginning right now between Anthropic and OpenAI for the users here. Both of them are speaking about doing an IPO in the near future. And I think that this plays a lot into this. So the latest on this was OpenAI announced that they're leaning towards pushing their IPO now. Both of them announced IPOs. They were both planning to IPO somewhere around the same time as the SpaceX IPO. But I would venture a guess that they're probably planning to delay this because they can continue to subsidize these like pro plans and subsidize these models inside these pro plans for this reason, and to try to capture as many users away from Anthropic as possible. This is my guess at what's happening right now. So I wouldn't be surprised at this point if Anthropic, all of a sudden you hear an announcement from Anthropic that they're extending Fable usage within subscriptions even further out, like maybe another week, maybe another 2 weeks. I would also venture a guess that in the background, they're probably going to try to extend out their IPO and push it back also, so that they can continue to fight this fight with OpenAI, because this is the biggest fight that they have right now over users. These are two very similar, very capable, very intelligent models. And yeah, like I said, like it's incredibly expensive to use them through the API. So like for those that don't know, like when you pay a $200 subscription to OpenAI or to Anthropic, they're completely subsidizing this. Like it's the money that they're raising in the private markets is paying for this. They're losing money on these subscriptions every single month. But this is a battle for the user. Like they're trying to acquire as many users as they possibly can. This is how they justify losing money on these subscriptions. This is not sustainable forever. Let's see where this all goes. It's great for the end user right now. But yeah, let's see where this all goes. My next predictions are that Anthropic maybe announces that they're pushing back their IPO even further, and maybe they raise another round in the private markets before the IPO in order to like help battle this user battle right now against OpenAI. And I wouldn't be surprised if they use that capital to continue to subsidize these subscriptions and maybe like try to re-include Fable in the subscriptions, or introduce some sort of like very similar model that they can include in the subscriptions, because they have to do something to battle against OpenAI with their 5.6 release here, because I predict that OpenAI is definitely going to steal back a lot of users over this. Anthropic had a big surge in user adoption because of Claude. I have a feeling that with this model release, they'll be able to steal back a lot of those subscriptions and users. So let's see. I mean, the average person, like the average user right now, is the main benefactor here. So that's great to see. Yeah, let's see what happens. See if my predictions play out here. In other news, like in the markets, I guess specifically, the main thing that's happening right now is this here. Oil prices are now up. Markets are dumping a bit. Let's see what happens with the market open. Market open in 45 minutes. So I want to kind of like talk about all this news before the markets open, so everyone can kind of get their feel and see exactly what's happening before the markets open. But yeah, it looks like the markets are going to dump on the open a little bit. Bitcoin already crashing, which is usually pretty good indicator, and oil is spiking up in the futures markets. Yeah, up over 6% as Trump says that the ceasefire, the MOU, the memorandum of understanding with Iran is basically over. So yeah, all this back and forth, it's super frustrating. I'm not going to like proclaim to be a geopolitical expert or anything like that. I don't know what's happening behind closed doors and all this stuff, but Trump's in a little bit of a pickle here for sure. It doesn't seem like Iran ever wanted peace. It didn't seem like there's just like so much back and forth on this. Like now there's an MOU, now there's not. We have an agreement, now we don't. It's super frustrating for the markets. I've talked about this many times. Markets hate uncertainty. Time and time again, if there's uncertainty, the markets most people with dry powder or capital will choose to stay on the sidelines until there is certainty. So let's see. But all I know is like Trump has to do something before the midterms here, because if we go into the midterms with this much uncertainty, especially over war, and the markets being down and inflation being up, it's not going to be good for the Republicans. They may lose some seats, whether it's in the House. Well, for sure in the House, they're going to lose some seats. In the Senate, who knows? Let's see what happens there. Hopefully they don't lose the Senate also. That would be terrible for them trying to accomplish anything in the second half. But let's see what happens. Like I said, Trump has to do something. I'm not a geopolitical expert, but hopefully they can find some sort of resolution here that removes the uncertainty around this before the midterms. The good news around the midterms, though, is that whether you're right or whether you're left, everyone is going to start making promises. And how do you pay for promises? Well, you pay for these promises that the government makes through money printing. So I am expecting that the midterms will be a little bit of a bullish catalyst for the markets overall. In general, I think that these things are, because, like I said, politicians have to make promises. You're already starting to see this. Trump accounts were announced just the other day. Basically, they're giving out free money again. A lot of this is actually sponsored by like Michael Dell, the founder of Dell Corporation, and other other capital allocators and other entrepreneurs and stuff like that are putting money behind this, which is great to see. I think a lot of that is going direct to citizens, which is also great to see. But yeah, I think the government is also like throwing some subsidies into this, where they will also contribute to children. So basically, if you any kids born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028 get $1,000 free from the government, put into their accounts. And that like exponentially grows over time, like through compounding, which is like great for the young generation. It's great to get like all people involved in the stock market ahead of time, because like the previous generations, a lot of them had like a very good housing market. Future generations don't have that. The housing markets are pretty overpriced and very hard for the average person to get into. So really the only hope for most people to get ahead in the future and beat inflation is to get into investing. And so initiatives like this are pretty cool to see. The reason why this is bullish, like I said, though, is because I think this is the start of the promise cycle before the midterms. I believe the midterms in the US are in November. So I think you're going to see a lot more stuff like this, where the government's on the right side, on the left side, start promising stuff. And the only way, like I said, to pay for all these promises that are going to be made before the midterms is by going into more debt. And how do you do that? Well, by money printing. So money printing is liquidity for the markets, and this is good. But even outside of money printing, like just getting more people into the markets in general is very, very good and a bullish signal. For crypto, this could also be bullish. He did mention at a press conference here, Trump, saying that that Bitcoin and crypto could potentially, something could happen there and be included with these new Trump accounts. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that could happen here, but overall, I think the midterm cycle is going to be bullish. And where we're at right now in the markets, basically there's like a fight going on. There's a fight going on over like the 200 weekly standard moving average. So this is like a very important. You'll see a lot of like macro guys and crypto TA guys talking about this like 200 week moving average. It's very popular, and yeah, basically there's a battle going on over this. It's pretty much it's a very good long-term indicator of if a market is still in a bullish cycle or a bear cycle. If you're under the 200 week moving average, it's usually very bearish for a long-term trend, whereas if you're above it, it's very bullish for a long-term trend. So it's a little bit of a battleground right now. You can see that the weekly candle just closed Sunday night, obviously, and it did actually close with bullish momentum, like bullish divergence above the previous bearish candle, so, and above the 200 week standard moving average. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this. Who knows what happens now this coming week here. The markets, I mean, they haven't opened yet, but they seem to be holding up decently well despite this kind of bearish Iran news. So we'll see what happens. But this is kind of one of the things I'm watching on the charts is, can we hold this kind of 200 week moving average? If so, I think that we're still in a very bullish position. That said, we are in a bear market. Like it came all the way back down to this 200-week moving average. Another good one to watch is the monthly charts here. Let me share on TradingView. So we're in a very similar state right now that we were back in 2022 in the sell-off. Like this is the 50-month moving average, a little bit different, but we've been just under this before. We've chopped below it before. Same thing happened in 2022, like I said, and then all of a sudden we reclaimed it, and it just went straight into a bull market after that. So we're in a very similar state, very similar sell-off position to where we were in the 2022 bear market. Like I said, we're in a bear market, but I think all signs are kind of indicating that we're nearing a bottom. Usually over the summer, the northern hemisphere summer, that is, usually that's like a pretty low liquidity, low volume time for the markets in general. So I don't expect that too much is going to happen over the summer here, but we do have potential catalysts coming up. Like I said, we have the midterm cycle, which is in November, and we've got clarity also. The Clarity Act, I think, is going to be a big catalyst. So it didn't hit the July 4th timeline, but it has until basically August 7th now before the Senate summer recess. So August 7th is kind of like, mark that on your calendars. They have to make some momentum on Clarity Act before then. I still expect that Clarity Act is going to pass. There's a lot of arguments against it still. The Republicans really have to make a strong push on this to try to get this passed, because if they lose the House and potentially lose the Senate in the midterms, it's going to be very hard for something like this to pass, because it's mainly a Republican bill, has a little bit of bipartisan support from the Democrats, but very little. So yeah, they have to get this passed. Hopefully by August 7th, we see this pass. They're making a lot of promises right now, a lot of discussions. The only thing that's really holding it up at this point is the ethics talk, the ethics points that we talked about on the past live stream. They want to remove any politician's ability to make profit from the crypto industry, and they want that included in this bill. So in my opinion, like, that should be a whole nother subject. Like I said, that should be a whole nother bill, but I guess that's not how they do things in the United States. They like to lump everything together into one giant bill all the time, which is very difficult to get things passed then. But the whole ethics debate, while I agree, like, politicians shouldn't be profiting from stuff that they're regulating, it should be a whole nother subject, because this shouldn't only apply to crypto. This should apply to traditional stocks and markets also, where there's like very egregious examples of this happening. So yeah, a lot of eyeballs on Trump around this and trying to get him to include that in this bill. But yeah, let's see what happens. I think I'm still optimistic that they're going to get this passed by this August 7th deadline. And if they do, that's going to be a very strong bullish catalyst for the end of the summer here. And then all of a sudden, markets usually bounce back around September. Volume comes back, liquidity comes back, and we could head into like a bullish fourth quarter here going into the midterms, when politicians start making all these promises that they have to pay for with debt, and money printing. So yeah, those are the things that I am paying attention to right now. Yeah, let's see what happens. I've got some guests lined up. You might see maybe tomorrow or Friday. Might have an episode with a guest here. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I will report back how everything goes with GPT 5.6. But yeah, super excited to try this out tomorrow. So yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back probably tomorrow or Friday. Cheers.